Hello everyone, and welcome to the November edition of the Farmers Supply Association Agriculture Report. I'm Randy Klepechka, agronomist with Farmers Supply Association. I'd like to start off as usual this time of year with another harvest update. We're taping on November the 7th. I've been talking September and October about, how much better our harvest weather had been relative to last year, and it had been. I mean, we'd had, a few breaks here and there with rain and things like that, but overall it's been a much better harvest season up until now. But since my last taping, which I think we taped the October program on October 9th, in that 4 weeks since then, we've had about 8 to 10 inches of rain, depending on where you're at in our area. So certainly put a damper on the harvest and slowed things down quite a bit. So, there's some guys that are done, and there's some guys that's got a little ways to go yet. There's still, starting with rice harvest, there's still a little bit of rice in the field. Not a lot, but for those guys that have a little out there, it's quite a bit. So, especially with the weather we've had, some of that's lodged and laying in water and things like that. So, still a little time to go on that. Soybeans, made a trip down to Stuttgart yesterday, and there's just a scattering of soybeans all the way from Jonesboro to Stuttgart. There's guys that are done, but there's guys that still, fields or decent acreage out there of soybeans to harvest. So, we really need at least a couple of weeks or so of good dry weather, and it doesn't look like it's in the forecast. So this harvest is probably going to string out into December, it looks like, again. So, hopefully I'm wrong and we'll get a couple of weeks of dry weather and get it over with in November, but it doesn't look real favorable looking at the forecast. My main topic this week, or this month, I want to talk about is rice varieties. I gave a kind of a brief overview on some of the new stuff coming in rice varieties last month, but I've got some test results and got a little more detailed information on some of these varieties. So I want to go over kind of some of the same things I did last month, but with a little more detail, as it's, before you even harvest a crop, you've got to start making decisions about next year. I want to start out with the U of A varieties. There's not going to be really things. There may be a couple of releases this winter, but really, won't be any seed available. Maybe just enough for some seed production and things like that. But looks like the U of A may release a new long grain, may release a new medium grain. So, hopefully those are coming and they'll help us out in the future. But again, if they are released, it would probably just be for seed production this year. But just wanted to let you know that the university has some good stuff coming. And again, I mentioned, Dr. Shaw and the medium grain work he's doing down there, and he's got some good stuff coming and good long grain stuff as well. So, that's something for the future. I want to focus most of the rest of my time on the Horizon Ag new varieties and also the Rice Tech new hybrids. Horizon Ag has a couple of new Clearfield varieties that they have released and will be available this year. The first is CLL15. This is a long grain Clearfield variety, excellent yield potential. It's a semi-dwarf. It's about 38 inches tall on average, so a semi-dwarf variety. It does have better blast resistance, than for instance a 151 would have. So that's a good point right there. It's a couple of days earlier than 153, so it's a fairly early variety. So again, I think there will be a lot of interest in the CLL15 long grain from Horizon Ag. So look for that, and I think it's going to be a good one for us. Horizon Ag is also releasing a medium grain. That's CLMO4. It has yield really right there in that Titan Jupiter range. One of their reps told me it's probably fit right in between Titan and Jupiter, but they can interchange on some of the tests and everything. So it's right there with the Titan and the Jupiter. So excellent yield potential. It grows kind of like a Bengal variety. So many of you have grown that in the past, and it can still lodge like a Jupiter, and that can be an issue in certain years and certain fertilizer regimes and certain types of soil and things like that. So we've got to remember that you can have some lodging issues, just like we see with Jupiter. So, but it does have, again, much better yield potential than our previous Clearfield from Horizon Ag. The one we've grown a little bit in the past is 272. 272 is out now. They will not be marketing that anymore. But 272, it did okay for some people. We had some people really like growing it because they wanted a Clearfield medium grain. But now we've got one with a significantly better yield potential. So I think it looks good, and I look for an increase in acreage certainly in that. Also from Horizon Ag, of course, they're marketing the Previsia varieties, which have tolerance to the Previsia herbicide, the old assured, like we've used in soybeans before. So, the first variety they had, PVL01, fairly limited yield potential. This one will have probably yield potential probably at least 10 to 15% better than the PVL01. So better, still not top end yield potential, but for where we want this variety, it's certainly worth it. If you've got new path resistant red rice or weedy rice, and certainly you can't grow clearfield rice there anymore, so certainly this is a good option. If you're wanting to grow rice on these fields, then you pretty much need to grow Previsia. So it's nice to see 10 to 15% better yield potential, and I'm sure they'll be getting better varieties as time goes on and more breeding goes on. So good to see that yield potential go up with Previsia, and look for some of that to be grown in our area, certainly where the clear field's not working anymore. Next we'll move to the Rice Tech hybrids, and their big thing now is the full page hybrids. And you might think full page is a new herbicide resistance technology. It's really not. It's the same. It's resistance to the same active ingredients as New Path and Beyond, but the big difference is these hybrids have much better tolerance to those active ingredients. In the past, if we might put New Path on a hybrid when it's cold and wet out there, early season and things like that, and we get some pretty good injury from the New Path, and that concerned a lot of people, and we're worried about people are worried about putting their New Path out in those early situations, worrying about rates and things like that. Now these new full page hybrids will have outstanding tolerance. Tolerance will not be an issue, so you can put those herbicides out there, even if it's cool and wet, you don't have to worry so much about the injury. So again, that's what the full page hybrids are about. The herbicides, Preface is the same active ingredient as New Path. That'll be their one of their herbicides. The other herbicide will be Postscript, and that's the same active ingredient as Beyond. So again, not really a new herbicide technology. It's kind of some new tolerances and new names for those active ingredients. So, I think that this looks like excellent technology for our farmers to use. Two varieties really that we'll have, two hybrids that we'll have available in this full page system will be 7521. That's a lot like the Gemini that many of our growers have done well with, the Clearfield variety Gemini. And the other one is 7321, and that hybrid has genetics it's like 753. So we're looking at excellent yield potential with these, and again the ability to put that active ingredient, same thing as New Path, the same thing as Beyond, out there without risking that injury. So again, the full page system, the herbicides will be Preface and Postscript. So look for big increase in the use of those as well as time goes on. Also with Rice Tech, they have a new conventional hybrid 7301. There was a little bit of that grown last year. It's very similar to 753, so excellent yield potential with that as well. So looking at the hybrids, again, the diseases are not a big issue now. With 7521, since that is the similar genetics as the Gemini, then smut could be an issue, so we're certainly looking at a tilt application there to control the smuts, but otherwise pretty similar, good tolerance to the diseases from the hybrid. So again, these are some of the new varieties and hybrids out there that are coming along. Anytime there's something new, the seed's not going to be just wide open, so there will be somewhat of a limited availability of seed on these, especially at the start, and hopefully that will work itself out, and in the future we'll have good seed supplies with these. But again, some good new stuff coming in rice varieties and hybrids, and I certainly look forward to the future and growing these things and seeing them more widespread in the field. For more information, you can contact me through Farmer Supply. My email is randyklepechka@gmail.com. Cell phone is 870-318-0739. Until December, this has been Randy Klepechka with the November edition of the Farmer Supply Association Agriculture Report.